Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my live videos, and on this video I am going to be giving you my predictions for the Manchester United Manchester City game tomorrow, 4:30 kickoff at Old Trafford. You already have seen my preview building up to the game. So now, so I am going to give you my predictions. So I am going to go for a Manchester United win. And I am going to go, my score prediction is going to be 2-1 to Manchester United. I think Bruno Fernandes will score because, he's enjoyed a fantastic start to his Manchester United career. Bruno Fernandes is already on 3 goals for the football club and he has provided around 2 assists. And, Solskjaer has recently, come out and spoke about Bruno Fernandes and he has praised Bruno Fernandes for the impact he has made, on the rest of the squad. He's instrumental, very instrumental. His decision making is very, very good. And like I mentioned, he is making the difference in the team. And I think Solskjaer has been advised, to build a team around Bruno Fernandes. But yeah, this will be his first Manchester derby. Also take that into account. So I think he'll get his name on the score sheet. And I also think Odi Nagalo will score because he's also on, now 3 goals for Manchester United in just 2 starts. So he's also enjoyed a fantastic start to his Manchester United career as Odi Nagalo. I think, we should start him tomorrow, Odi Nagalo. If he does start tomorrow, it will be his full Premier League debut. But, he did really, really well against Derby. So I think he deserves a start, does Odi Nagalo. Obviously, don't forget, Solskjaer made an admission on Odi Nagalo. And he did say, he may decide to make Odi Nagalo's transfer permanent because obviously, we have got him on a 6-month loan. Like Solskjaer was saying, Odi Nagalo is a different type of striker. He's the vocal point, is Odi Nagalo, and like I mentioned, he is a good cover up to Marcus Rashford. And take into account, he's a lifelong Manchester United supporter. So yeah, I think them two will score, and I think City's goal scorer will probably be Sergio Aguero. Well, that's what I think anyway, because obviously, he's City's, he's City's top goal scorer is Sergio Aguero. Yeah, so I think it is going to end 2-1 to Manchester United. And we've done really, really well against elite opposition this season. I think we have registered around 14 points from, the good sides this season. So our record against the top 6 sides is absolutely superb. Take into account we've already beaten City twice this season. We've played them 3 times in total. We've beat them twice and they've beat us once. So we're looking to beat City for the 3rd time this season, and this will be the Solskjaer and Pep Guardiola are set to go head-to-head for the 4th time this season. Solskjaer's beaten Chelsea 4 times as a manager. He's overcome Frank Lampard 3 times. He's beaten Jose Mourinho once. We drew with Liverpool. So yeah, we've done really, really well against elite opposition. Don't forget we did beat PSG. That's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's most iconic moment as manager. So yeah, we've done really, really well against elite opposition. So this is one of the main explanations why I think Manchester United are going to beat Manchester City. Now, obviously, Solskjaer has come out and said, the scheduling of the Manchester derby is unfair. So what it means in that aspect is that, City have obviously, got more time, to be prepared for the match. So this is what, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has come out and said. But, Solskjaer hopes that the Manchester derby is going to be a classic. But, we're in a good run of form at the moment. I think we've won, 6 of our last 9 games. We are unbeaten in our last 9 games in all competitions. And I think this is our, best run since, since Solskjaer, was the interim manager. This is our best run of form that Manchester United have been in. Like I mentioned, it was a very, very good result against Derby, beating them by 3-0. Very, very good result against Derby it was. So, we are now into the quarterfinals of the FA Cup for the 6th season on the trot. And like I mentioned, the FA Cup is a priority for Manchester United. It is a priority for us because it's a chance of us getting some silverware on the board. Plus, it'll be just very, very good to win. Because we haven't won out yet in terms of silverware under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Also, take into account the Europa League is a priority for us because that's also a chance of getting silverware on the board. Plus, it's another route to Champions League qualification. So, yeah, we have got quite a few ambitions, definitely. And obviously, we have got a lot of games coming up. Games are coming up thick and fast. So, we'll be making a lot of rotations. City tomorrow. We go to Lask in the last 16 of the Europa League. Then we play Tottenham, which is also going to be a very big game. Solskjaer was saying, if we can beat City and we can get a result against Tottenham, then, we can finish in the top four this season. As it stands at the moment, we are 3 points behind top four. But, there's quite a few teams in that top four race. And, we know that we've enjoyed our worst start to a Premier League season ever. But, on the other hand, we can still finish in that top four. But a lot of teams have been inconsistent in the league this season anyway. So take that into account. Obviously, we know that, though, City is going to be a very, very difficult game. It's going to be interesting to see how City, approach the game, to be quite honest with you. It's going to be interesting to see how they approach it. Are they going to approach it like they did against Real Madrid? Obviously, I don't know how City are going to approach this game, but obviously, from a City perspective, they will want to win it. Of course, City have got quite a few injuries. Obviously, there's been reports saying that De Bruyne is a doubt for the game. Obviously, he came off injured in City's 1-0 win against Sheffield Wednesday in the Cup. So it's basically said he's a doubt. Laporte, he came off injured against Real Madrid. Obviously, Leroy Sané's been out for the vast majority of this season. Raheem Sterling's just recently come back for Man City, so they have had quite a few injuries of City. But City are in a good vein of form now. They've won They've won their last 5 in all competitions of Man City. Of course, they've already got some silverware on the board this season. They've beaten Aston Villa by 2-1 in the Carabao Cup final, and that's City's 3rd Carabao Cup in a row. It's their 3rd one in a row, and they can still win the FA Cup, can City. I actually do fancy them for the Champions League, and the Champions League is a priority for Manchester City because that's the only trophy Manchester City have not won in their history is the Champions League, and they haven't got a pedigree at all in the Champions League of Manchester City, but City want to win it like I mentioned. Also, too, Pep Guardiola wants to win it. Pep Guardiola he has won it, but that's when he was Barcelona manager. But I think definitely City are progressing to the last 8 of the competition because, like I mentioned, they had that historic win against Real Madrid. That's the first time they ever beaten Real Madrid in the Champions League. Obviously, in that year, in the first leg, Guardiola played Bernardo Silva and De Bruyne as the false number 9s. Jesus was playing in like a different role. And, like I mentioned, his approach to the game was good. Tactically got it right. And this is why, City beat Real Madrid. So they tactically sussed out Real Madrid. So he may go with the exact same, formation, like he did do in the first leg against Real Madrid. But I'm convinced City will beat them in the second leg at the Etihad. Real Madrid have got to win 3-0, and they've obviously, got to keep Manchester City out. But Manchester City have got a pretty decent home record because they do seldom lose at the Etihad Stadium, to be quite honest with you. But like I mentioned, City want the Champions League. Obviously, they can't win the Premier League. I think they're gonna finish second out there this season. They are sitting 22 points behind Liverpool and Man City. There was hopeful that they could win the league this season. So that would have made it 3 titles on the trot for Man City, 3 titles on the trot. Because obviously, they have won back-to-back Premier League titles. Obviously, they've won a total of 4 Premier Leagues. They've won 2 under Guardiola. They won 1 under Roberto Mancini, and they won 1 under Manuel Pellegrini. So they was looking to win their 5th Premier League title in total. The last team to win 3 titles on the trot was us back in 2007, 2008 and 2009. And City, of course, did win the domestic treble last season. But reflecting on the league, City haven't been as good in the league, as there was in the past 2 seasons. City was very, very good last season, City. There was good the season before because they registered 100 points, did Man City. But yeah, so they're not going to win the league this season. You know, like I mentioned, Pep Guardiola now is into his 4th season at Manchester City, and he's won a total of 8 major honours, and he's won over 100 odd games in the Premier League as Guardiola. So his record is pretty good. You know, his record is pretty good. I think Pep Guardiola's contract does expire. Is it at the end of the 2020-21 season? That's when his contract is due to expire. Probably Pep Guardiola, you know, will still be Manchester City manager next season. Despite that, Manchester City are banned from the Champions League for the next 2 seasons. Obviously, you know, City have appealed against this decision, and you know, they would have thrown a lot of money at the appeal, would Manchester City. But, you know, like I mentioned, City have got a lot of good players that could cause us all sorts of problems tomorrow. You know, they've got the likes of Bernardo Silva that, you know, can get runs in behind our defence. You've got Raheem Mahrez that can also impose a threat. You know, Aguero's also a threat. You know, Sterling's also a threat. And, you know, City have got some good midfielders in Ilkay Gundogan. You know, David Silva's also there. Take him into the equation. I think Otamendi will be playing for Manchester City tomorrow. I think so too will Fernandinho. You know, John Stones is actually, you know, predominantly a centre-half, but John Stones doesn't get in the team. Pep Guardiola's preference is Otamendi and Fernandinho instead of John Stones, even though they are not predominantly centre-halves, Otamendi and Fernandinho. You know, they have got that Kyle Walker, don't forget. He's one of their most recent signings, is Kyle Walker. So City, you know, have got a lot of good, you know, players, you know, that could cause us all sorts of problems. Like I mentioned, the main explanation why City have been so good in the last 4 or 5 years is because they have built a really, really good squad of Man City, and they obviously, you know, they have spent a lot of money on recruiting new players in. Obviously, you know, we have as well, so I'll take us into the equation. But, you know, City have not built a great club, like I mentioned. They've only built a great squad. But with us, we're a big club, and we've always been a big club. We are one of the biggest clubs in the world. So let's take that into the equation. But yeah, should be a very, very entertaining game, Man United and Manchester City. Obviously, you know, I've given you some of our team news. Harry Maguire is touch and go to play, like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has confirmed. Obviously, Harry Maguire did miss the game against Derby with an ankle injury that he had sustained in training. But yeah, he should be okay to be involved in this game against Manchester City. I think Harry Maguire's done really, really well since his arrival from Leicester last summer. I do agree on the aspect that Manchester United overpaid for him because, you know, we paid £80 million for Harry Maguire. Yes, £80 million for Harry Maguire. So he's the most expensive defender in the world, and he's the second most expensive signing at the football club. I do believe that the club did make the right decision by giving Harry Maguire the captaincy on a permanent basis. We're giving the captaincy reflecting on Ashley Young's departure. So the club did make the right decision by doing that. So yeah, so he will be, I should believe he'll be involved in the game. Solskjaer did confirm that Wan-Bissaka and Daniel James will be further assessed today. So maybe, you know, they will be involved. If Wan-Bissaka can't be involved in the game, then I think Diego Dalot will keep his place in the team. Daniel James, hopefully he can be involved. I think, you know, Solskjaer's been overplaying Daniel James anywhere. You know, he's played a lot of games this season. He has missed our last 2 games as Daniel James with injury. Wan-Bissaka did play our last league game against Everton, but he has got a back problem as Wan-Bissaka. The good news is more players are now coming back from injury. You know, if people are saying if Harry Maguire doesn't play, that, you know, maybe Bailly could be playing, or maybe Tuanzebe could get the opportunity because Bailly and Tuanzebe have just come back. I think also Fosu Mensah's just come back for us, which is very, very good. Has just come back for us, which is very, very good. Our long-term I think our only long-term absentees now is Marcus Rashford. He's out with a back injury. He could be out for the rest of the season. I think it's been revealed that he's, you know, going to be fit for the European Championships this season, is Marcus Rashford. So yeah, he could be out for the rest of the season. I can't estimate, you know, when, you know, Lee Grant is going to be back. I think in this game, Solskjaer is going to go with the 3-5-2 formation. From my own perception, we look more expansive with 3 at the back. And I think it's, very beneficial to go with that formation, against elite opposition. I know we seldom go with three at the back, but Solskjaer will probably go with three at the back. And I've already given you my starting 11 prediction for the game. I know on a regular basis this season, Solskjaer's been going with a 4-2-3-1. But like I mentioned before, from my own perception, that 4-2-3-1 formation doesn't really seem to suit our standards. And I have, got element of concerns about it. But it will be interesting to see how Ole Gunnar Solskjaer does approach this game against Manchester City. It's going to be interesting to see how he approaches this game against Manchester City. Definitely in that. Obviously, Paul Pogba is stepping up his fitness regime, which is very, very good. I did say, didn't I, the earliest we were looking at Paul Pogba being back was for the Manchester derby, but now that is not the case. Solskjaer did confirm that Paul Pogba he's been working with the physios and is set to return to training by next week. Now, Pogba's been out for the vast majority of the season with injury. It is definitely over a month ago now since he had the surgery on his ankle. Pogba's only played 8 games this season due to the injuries he's had. I think he's leaving Manchester United in the summer, is Paul Pogba. Rio Ferdinand has come out and, he's told Manchester United basically to make a decision on Paul Pogba's future because, the long-running saga, it's a long-running saga, regarding Paul Pogba. I'm surprised he didn't leave the football club last summer. Now, I've been reading these reports. I updated you about this yesterday night, and it basically, said that, PSG and Juventus are, planning to put around a £100 million bidding for Paul Pogba, because I think we've quoted out that we want at least £100 million for the player. Obviously, we want to get more money than what we paid for him because we paid £89 million for Pogba. Maybe there's a slight possible chance that he could stay at the football club. The main explanation why there's a slight chance he could stay at the club is because of Bruno Fernandes, because Pogba did recently come out and reveal that, he's very excited about playing alongside Bruno Fernandes in our midfield because, let's be honest, they would complement each other fantastically well. Now, Paul Pogba is into the final year of his contract at Man United. The club do have an option to extend it by a further year. Some people believe there's a possible chance that we could extend his contract, but I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening, to be quite honest with you. But, if he leaves in the summer, he'll go to Madrid, he'll make a return to Turin, or he will go to PSG, will Paul Pogba. But I think we can afford to let him go anywhere from my own perception, because like I mentioned yesterday, we've got Fred, McTominay, Matic that are doing well. Also, Bruno Fernandes is doing well. And for Pogba to get in the team on a regular basis when he does come back, we'll have to drop either Fred, McTominay and Matic. And there's no real explanation why we need to drop them because they have done really, really well recently for us. But I think he's definitely on his way out of the club in the summer. Solskjaer did say a couple of weeks ago that Paul Pogba may never play for Manchester United again, but he will do. And he did basically say, his return is not imminent. But the good news is, Pogba is stepping up his fitness regime. There's a lot of people believe he wants out of Man United. Graham Souness, don't forget after the Everton game, he gave his verdict on Pogba, and he believes that Paul Pogba doesn't want to play at the football club. So that's from his own perception and that. But yeah, so it should be an intriguing game against Manchester City. I'm really looking forward to it. I am really looking forward to the game. We've got a lot of Premier League football today. Liverpool, Bournemouth, 12:30. I gave you my preview for that the other day. Chelsea, Everton, that's also going to be should be an intriguing game tomorrow. I think that kicks it off at 2 o'clock. So yeah, so there is a lot of Premier League football. There's, a lot of Premier League football, and I have been keeping up to date, haven't I, regarding the transfer news, because obviously Manchester United are making plans for the summer transfer window. We have got quite a lot of players on our agenda who I think, we will go in for, because there's still deficiencies in the squad that need to be addressed. Now, do you think Solskjaer will be here in the summer transfer window? So far, Solskjaer's enjoyed 3 transfer windows at Manchester United, and he spent around £220 million on 5 players. Now, obviously, Ed Woodward, came out the other week, and he's laid the foundations for long-term success with Solskjaer, and he's determined to back Solskjaer. Obviously, still quite a few of our players are still determined to back Solskjaer because they believe from their own perceptions he is still the long-term solution for Manchester United is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. This is what, a few of the players, do believe. Now, I think, we're going to spend a substantial amount in the summer. I think if we can get the right calibre players to Manchester United in the summer, then possibly, we can challenge for the league going on into next season. Yes, we can. Now, obviously, one player on our agenda is Jadon Sancho. We have been relentlessly linked with Jadon Sancho, but, there's quite a few clubs that have expressed their interest in Jadon Sancho. Real Madrid, Chelsea, PSG, they've all been in for Jadon Sancho, so too of Liverpool. He is expected to leave Borussia Dortmund at the end of the season because Sky in Germany confirmed this the other week, so he's expected to leave at the end of the season. I was reading reports yesterday and it says, Dortmund have quoted out that they want around £120 million if they are to sell Jadon Sancho. And reportedly it says when Jadon Sancho was at Manchester City, because he did serve a couple of years at Manchester City, but he never really got any first-team opportunities at Manchester City. So this is the main explanation why he left Manchester City to join Borussia Dortmund. He got offered around £30,000 a week at City, but he turned this offer down, and then of course, went to Borussia Dortmund, and now Sancho is in his 3rd season at Borussia Dortmund. He has enjoyed a difficult season because in some games, Jadon Sancho has been dropped in quite a few games this season for Dortmund, but I think analysing the vast majority of his tenure with Dortmund, he's done really, really well, especially in his past 2 seasons. He has got a contract with Dortmund until 2022. And, Dortmund will look at it from a financial point of view, and, they'll make a huge profit. They'll make a huge profit on the player. They'll make around, if they're selling for 120 million, they'll make around 112, 113 million pound profit. So they will look at it from a financial point of view, because Dortmund only paid around 7 or 8 million pounds in for Man City, but he's proven in the Premier League that's also beneficial. He's predominantly a right winner, and he would dramatically improve us, would Jadon Sancho. So I'd love him to come to Manchester United. Some people say we need Champions League qualification to get Jadon Sancho on the board. And Duncan Castles came out the other week and, he said we are emerged as the favourites to sign Jadon Sancho. Obviously, Jack Grealish, he's another player on our agenda. If we're to get Grealish and Sancho, they're going to cost us around £160 million. And that would take our spending spree up to over £300 million in total. Take up to around £380 million, because already we spent around 220 million under Solskjaer. Grealish, has come out and said if he's to leave Aston Villa, he wants around £150,000 a week. And I think Manchester United are determined to give him this. We want to get a deal finalised for Jack Grealish as soon as possible. We want to get a deal finalised for him, because obviously, to stop his fee rising after the Euros, because there has been reports saying he's set to make his England debut this year, is Jack Grealish. Obviously, if Villa were to avoid relegation, then, maybe his asking price would go up. But as it stands at the moment, Jack Grealish would cost Manchester United around £60 million. That's how much it would cost us. Up until this point, Grealish has spent the entirety of his career with Aston Villa. Obviously, I think he had a loan spell with County. He's got around the 45 million release clause in his contract. Grealish has got a contract with Villa until 2023. He's predominantly an attacking mid, but you can play him as a winner occasionally. We're basically seeing Jack Grealish as an adequate replacement for Pogba. And if Grealish was to come in, I think our first choice midfield trio would be Grealish, Bruno Fernandes and Fred. And that's obviously, with Paul Pogba out of the team. And it'd be interesting to see how we'd line up if we got Jadon Sancho and Jack Grealish in. So yeah, so there has been quite a few players on our agenda, but there, Jack Grealish is one of our priority targets, and Jadon Sancho is one of our priority targets, definitely. I do also believe around 4 to 5 players are going to leave Manchester United this summer. I know a lot of players have left since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival. They have a lot of players have left since Solskjaer's arrival. Around 9 senior players have left. And obviously, reflecting on some of the players that did leave, we have generated some money for their departures. Obviously, we generated a lot of money from Romelu Lukaku's departure because we got £70 million for Romelu Lukaku. I think the club did make a mistake by getting rid of Romelu Lukaku, but in the end he had to go because he lost his place in the team, did Lukaku. Now he's doing really, really well at Inter Milan. And it freed up our wage bill a lot, with Lukaku going because he was on a substantial amount of the club. Obviously, Sanchez being on loan, that freed up our wage bill a little bit. But despite the fact that he's on loan at Inter Milan, we're still paying the vast majority of his wages. I'm glad that Sanchez isn't coming back in the summer. Obviously, we loaned quite a few players out, take that into account. So, yeah, a lot of players have left since Solskjaer's arrival, so I'm happy we did get rid of a lot of the deadwood. But, yeah, we need to still get rid of around 4 or 5 in the summer. I think the players that need to go, I think we definitely need to get rid of Chong and Gomez, because their appearances are limited and not really getting enough opportunities, are Chong and Gomez. Gomez isn't getting any opportunities hardly, so I think we need to move them on. I think their current contracts do expire at the end of the season. I think recently, is it Chong or Gomez that's just turned down a contract offer from Man United? I think definitely Jesse Lingard and Andres Pereira need to go because they are two liabilities. Solskjaer showed a ruthless streak warning over Lingard and Andres Pereira, because now they're struggling to get into the team following the arrival of Bruno Fernandes. And I don't like them anyway, Lingard and Pereira. Too inconsistent, so they're two players we do need to move on. Phil Jones is also another player that Manchester United need to move on. Phil Jones doesn't even get in the team. Jones is now into his 9th season at Manchester United. He has endured 8 years here. We got him from Blackburn, was it, back in 2011 or 2012. Matic, possibly, could be moved on in the summer, could Matic. He's done really, really well recently, to be fair, as Nemanja Matic. We could lose him on a free... Well, we will lose him on a free transfer if we don't get him a contract extension, because Matic's contract does expire at the end of the season. Matic is now into his 3rd season at Manchester United, and he has made over 100 appearances for the football club, and he is aging up. And I know he's very, very slow, and I said before I've got element of concerns about him, but to be fair, a lot of aspects of his game have recently improved as Nemanja Matic is. So should we consider extending Matic's contract at the football club? So yeah, definitely more players need to be moved on. But like I mentioned before, there hasn't only been problem with the management at Manchester United. Like I said, not all of the blame stems from Solskjaer. I said, a lot of United fans have got doubts about the club's ownership. We've also got doubts about, Ed Woodward. Obviously, I've got a lot of element of concerns about our board. So I did say there's various issues at the club, and like I mentioned before, we need to see a variety of changes at Manchester United. I think if Manchester United get qualification for the Champions League, I think probably Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will be given another season at Manchester United, because he's in his 1st full season at the football club at the moment. And of course, Solskjaer has been at Manchester United now over a year. We know that obviously, since he's got the job permanently, his record has been disastrous. But look at it on the other hand, the longer Solskjaer remains in the job, he's going to gain more and more experience, because like I mentioned, Solskjaer is inexperienced as a manager, and that is, my element of concern, to be quite honest with you. But maybe, he will be here going on into next season. Like I mentioned, we did make a mistake by giving him the job permanently, but the main explanation why we give Solskjaer the job on a permanent basis is reflecting on what he did when he was the interim manager, because he did well in that 3-month period when he was the interim manager. Obviously, like I mentioned, whether Solskjaer's managerial tenure at Man United works out or not, we'll never forget what he's done for the football club. He was a great player for us for 11 years. He flourished under Ferguson's guidance, and he's got that proven pedigree. pedigree as a player, I just feel as though as a manager, he is totally comparison to how he was as a player. I can definitely assure Solskjaer won't invoke Ferguson's legacy at the club. No manager, would invoke Ferguson's legacy at the football club. Now, if Solskjaer, if Solskjaer is to be sacked as Manchester United manager, I think, it's very imminent that Mauricio Pochettino will be our next manager. If not Pochettino, it will be Massimiliano Allegri. Now, I'll give you the updates, didn't I, regarding Mauricio Pochettino yesterday. More narratives have come out in the mainstream media about it. Obviously, that Spanish journalist came out and said he wants to return to management. There's been talks of Pochettino, going back to Tottenham, because obviously Tottenham are unhappy with Jose Mourinho. Obviously, Real Madrid have been long admirers of Man United and Man City are still interested in Mauricio Pochettino. If he was to come, he wouldn't come until the summer anyway, because obviously, we'd want to avoid paying compensation, because if we were to get him now or before the end of the season, Tottenham would be entitled to around 10 million in compensation. So, yeah. And we haven't really got the structure to keep sacking managers, because we're not really known for the sacking football club. We have sacked 3 managers since the Alex Ferguson era, like I mentioned. But, like I mentioned, we've been inconsistent for 6 or 7 years. Yes, we have. And like I mentioned, there's a lot of explanations for that, but one of the main explanations is reflecting on the amount of mistakes that Manchester United have made, because we have made a lot of mistakes in the last 6 or 7 years. But despite that, we are one of the biggest clubs in the world with a fantastic history. Most successful team in England historically, because we've won the most titles. We've had great players up and down the generations, like I mentioned. And Solskjaer's just basically now looking to build a squad worthy of the club's history. So this is what I'm basically saying. A lot of money's being invested at the football club. But, yeah. So anyway, guys, like I mentioned, that's your predictions for your Man United Man City game. Drop your comments, likes below on this channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching.